Hi, I'm Emily Yee, and I'm an LCSW. I'm a therapist that works with intense and gifted teenagers and their families. And this video is really for parents of gifted kids. I just want to speak to anybody who is feeling overwhelmed, burnt out, and frustrated, like they're failing their kid and they don't know what else to do. I'm just here to encourage you that you haven't failed. You just got a different parenting assignment than what you expected. I really love working with gifted families because I want them to understand themselves and understand each other, and to have less of a feeling of failure all around and shame, and more of an understanding that they're uniquely designed and have different needs. But when those needs are taken care of, they can be absolutely amazing. And so be encouraged, and we'll dive in. So I've used this metaphor before, but gifted minds are like having a motorbike with bicycle brakes. The more intense, the faster you're going intellectually, the harder it is to slow down and express yourself in a way that can be understood by neurotypical minds, or anybody, because even gifted kids sometimes speak different languages intellectually. And so our job is to help them learn the tools and to time themselves and space their thoughts and ideas out, especially when they're expressing them, in a way that they can stay in control of their own emotions and they can express the ideas that they want to be understood by others. You might notice this with your kid if they're crying about things not being fair in the world when they're 6 years old, or they're having an existential crisis when they're 12. When they're questioning things about your faith that you didn't think about until you were well into your 30s. You might notice that they ask why 50 times and they never feel satisfied with the answer. And they ask questions that don't even have answers. Anybody would feel overwhelmed and discouraged when they're asked why for the 50th time, and you're dealing with that daily. So just know that you're not failing them when you don't have the energy to rise to the challenge of all of their curiosities and intensities. You've been given a different job, is to help this child navigate life as somebody who is neurodivergent. So a different metaphor that we could use here is if you had a really high-powered telescope and you're trying to use it in the daytime, you're not going to be able to see anything. It's going to feel kind of useless and impractical, and like, what's the point? And that can feel like your gifted child sometimes. They need the exact right circumstances under the right conditions, and then they're able to do something absolutely amazing. And so keeping this in mind when you are banging your head against the wall for them to perform in their dance recital when they're 4 years old, and that is just not something that they're built to do naturally, but you'll see the 8 other children come out and do it just as well. And yours is doing something really silly that is interesting to them. And yet you turn around and they're able to maybe learn some of the skills from that same dance class much more quickly and perform them at home beautifully, but just no interest in performing for others. And so you see this play out over and over again, where the conditions and everything around it has to be ideal, but then you see the gifts that your child has shine through. You gotta love the comments from people that are not parenting your child. Like, they're too sensitive. You just need to be more disciplined. I just don't think that you're consistent enough. And here you are giving your best day after day, trying to be consistent as you can and trying not to be overly soft, doing everything that you can to parent this child the best that you can, and wondering why they're struggling. Is it because of you? And I would encourage you, after all the families that I work with and all the children that are gifted and are struggling, the parents are doing exactly what everyone else would be doing with their neurotypical children, and their neurotypical children would respond to those, traditional parenting styles in a beautiful way. You would see results. But with gifted children that are further on that IQ bell curve and have more idiosyncrasies and more overexcitabilities, sensory needs, they're going to need different kinds of support. And this might look like, You might have a kid who's avoidant of demands altogether. And so instead of telling them exactly what needs to be done, you have to use lists, visual cues, or suggestions. You might have to just accept that some of those things are not going to be done, just like a telescope does not work in the daytime. And this is what may eventually be what's best for you and your child. Every child is going to need you and them to work together and decide what's best between you and them, and being really careful of who is getting to speak into this child's life, who is on the battleground with you and really has a voice and has earned the right to be heard, and letting all the other criticism go. Easier said than done, but I just want to encourage you with that. So I really believe that your child was made this intense on purpose. I believe that everyone has a role in our society and in our community, and their role is to feel really deeply and to bring that intensity into this life. Now, I like to imagine we have this, if this is the ground, and if we're dug out as a person very deeply because of trauma or because we were just born that way, then we have the capacity to be filled up with a lot of love and empathy and compassion, and then we're able to pour that out on others. And so that depth of intensity that your child has is the capacity to love that much more deeply and to experience life that much more deeply. It's a very beautiful thing, but it has the capacity to be filled with other emotions, with anger and with bitterness and with rage or with depression, sadness. And that's scary, but it's not what I think the intention is. The intention is for health and for intensity that's healthy and that contributes to society in the best way. So because this is part of my core belief of them being made this way on purpose, I think I communicate that in my therapy with children and teens that are gifted, in that you are made just the way you're supposed to be. And some things are harder for you, but other things feel so good. It feels so good to love so deeply and to care so much. And you don't need to change who you are and care less or be less. Maybe we need some skills and some support in some areas, but it's good to be who you are. And I truly believe that for them, and they can feel that from me. And I think that that frees them up from a lot of the shame about being different from other people, helping them understand where they're going to be successful because they were wired for deep thinking, deep listening, whether they're listening to music and that's all they're doing is just soaking it in, or watching movies and making connections, talking about ideas and plans and dreams and just really getting interested in it, helping them see whatever it is that really helps them to feel alive is where they're supposed to be, right? And attuning to that and leaning in that direction. And instead of, where are you weak? Let's focus on that. There's a balance there, and that's definitely what we're doing in terms of coping skills. But I really want to encourage my gifted kids to lean into what they're interested in, to help them to name their emotions and identify how intense it's feeling. That's really helpful for them, like 0 to 10. How intense is that sadness for you right now? And rate it, because they might express deep sadness. But if you said 0 to 10, what is that like for you? They would say like a 2, And so trying to understand, okay, because it feels like everything is like a 10. But when you ask for that rating, then they give you numbers that help you to understand how they're holding it, and communicate that to you so that they can feel understood. One of the metaphors that I use with kids is being an octopus and the idea of sensitivity. I really don't like sensitivity being used as a negative word. I use it as a positive word, that you are able to sense things. Like an octopus can sense things with its tentacles. And instead of having 8 legs, you have 20. And you are just able to sense more things, whether they're emotions or justice, right and wrong, reading and vocabulary, wordplay, cinema, just whatever it is, art, colors. You're able to sense more things. You're more sensitive. And that's a superpower. It's going to, if you are an artist, you're able to communicate things on a much deeper level. Or if you are a writer, you're able to go there with it. And being able to sense lots of things is a good thing, but we need to have the tools and the maturity and the ability to control our mind to protect our deep feelings. Because if we're very sensitive and we put ourselves in a position where we're absorbing a lot of negativity, then we're going to feel that pain very, very intensely. And so being mindful and aware of what you're thinking about, what you're exposing yourself to is really important for gifted kids. So just the last few words of encouragement is that you don't need to be perfect. The effort that you're putting in is going to contribute to a kid that's going to change the world. They may not be saying thank you right now, but helping see them, helping them understand their feelings, helping them manage their emotions is putting them in the position to really go after the big stuff that we need our gifted and talented and very intense people to be pursuing. So hang in the game, and it's okay to be tired. It doesn't mean that you're failing. And it's really okay to ask for help. I want to help. I want to be on your team. So if you're enjoying this content, please like and subscribe. And if you'd like to work with me, you can click on the link below and I will be in touch with you. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Talk to you soon.